Thank you for coming. I'm David Christopher Lewis, co-founder of the Heart Center. And the Heart Center is a community of light workers, light bearers, light sharers who are working to help bring in the Aquarian age. And on our website, we say that we're an Aquarian Essene community. So does everybody know who the Essenes were? Okay, most of you, yeah. So do you feel like you're a re-embodied Essene? You came, 2,000 years ago to help prepare for Jesus coming. Now we've re-embodied again, and what are we preparing for now? Well, the Aquarian age. And we're all reaching that level of attainment where we can hopefully at the end of this incarnation ascend. So part of what this session is about is the Ascension Revelations, which is my second most recent book. And fortunately, I have a wonderful staff, and we have a publishing team, and we have an online university, and we've had classes, 3 different classes on the Ascension Revelations, preparing for your ascension and getting your house in order with Serapis Bey, and then Serapis Bey on the mystery and magic of the Ascension. And I've taught all over the world in 40 different countries, and I've been privileged to provide close to 7,000 what the masters call heart streams. So part of this session and the portfolio that you got when you came here, this session today was about heart streaming and higher consciousness, but also on the ascension. So what is heart streaming? Well, we all do it. And it involves, whether it's prayer or meditation or both, or chanting or singing, it's actually a spiritual practice of emanating light through your heart chakra, especially to the planet. It can be for healing, it can be for enlightenment, it can be any form of teaching, it can just be to enfold people in the radiance of your love, your light, your consciousness to help them on their path. So the ascension is the ultimate initiation that we all will go through before we return to God and the state of total oneness with the Divine One, where we've balanced our karma, or at least over 51%. We've fulfilled our divine plan, and we have done our mission. We've done that mission, or the Buddhists call it the Dharma. And each of us has a unique Dharma or mission, and we have to give our gifts. We have to use our talents. So besides balancing our karma and fulfilling our mission, what are some of the other requirements? Let's go through the slides now, and I'll get to that. So this is Serapis Bey, who is the hierarch of the Ascension Temple, which is in the etheric octave over Luxor, Egypt. And this is where Jesus and his family traveled when Herod killed all the newborn children. They fled to Egypt while they went to Alexandria, and then they studied with the mystery schools there. And Jesus, from a very young age, was a very high soul, as we know. Well, he went through all the initiations. So this is one representation of Serapis Bey. Next slide. And another one by Lisa Delaney, who used to live in Montana, lives in Southern California. So you see the pyramid in the background. Next slide. This is the book, and we have this at our booth number 503 downstairs. Next slide. And we have 16 books altogether. These are most of the better selling ones, and one of my favorites is on the Advanced Studies of the Human Aura by Al Moria. There's Saint Germain, 2 volumes on advanced alchemy. There's a book on Kuan Yin. There's a book on angels, angels, angels. There's a book on Jesus' Jewels of Joy. He spoke a lot through me on the joy flame of God. And then there's other books. So by Afra, Mother Mary, and another book by El Moria. No, next slide. So our ascension to the heart of God is the most sacred event, initiation, and ceremony that we may experience. It's the fulfillment of our reason for being, our mission, and our Dharma over many lifetimes. And it's our graduation from this world to our immortal freedom in the light. So you've heard of Jesus ascending, yet in Christianity, do they talk too much about us ascending? No, but in the New Age, and the New Age circles that we're in here at this event, everybody understands the ascension. As a planet, we're going through an acceleration, right? But it begins with each one of us. So we each have to find that nexus of divine truth, wisdom, of faith, which is more than just a blind faith. It's a knowingness. Like the mystics, the Gnostics talked about gnosis, which is knowing through personal experience. It's wisdom by experiential living. And then love, divine love. So love is the key to the ascension, in my opinion. And I think it's the safest journey to the heart of God, because when we return to God, we have to love God with our whole being. We have to love each other with our whole being. We have to forgive others with our whole being. We have to let go and let God, right? We know all these things. It may seem a little trite, yet to live daily in that understanding of that we're in this process of ascending every day, a little bit. Finally, we reach the point where we reunite with God because we're conscious of our presence, our divine self. So this immortal freedom in the light is destined for each one of us. It's not just for Jesus or the saints or the ascended masters. We're all ascended masters in the making. Do you feel like you're an ascended master in the making? That's your destiny, right? To be an immortal being? Well, our true self is already, in a sense, ascended. Our true self is already one with God. We just kind of awaken to it again. Do you feel like you're part of the awakening process? And so in the book, well, I'm getting ahead of myself, so we'll go through the slides. So this talk affords students a new look at how important it is to focus on what is truly important in our lives: divine love, purity, humility, and service to God and others. So in my opinion, divine love is first, purity is absolutely essential, and humility. Because the higher you go on the path, the higher initiations, if you fall through pride, that's the opposite of humility, right? So you have to remain humble. No matter what your spiritual gifts are, clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairgustance, clairaudience, clair this and clair that, you have to be humble, because otherwise the ego can get in there, and that's where you fall through pride. So next slide. Serapis Bey highlights what transpires for candidates of the ascension at his etheric retreat over Luxor, Egypt. So when you reach a certain point on the path, you become what's called a candidate for the ascension, where there's an acceleration. And in our finer bodies at night, we can travel in our souls to these schools of light in the etheric octaves. And the primary one for the ascension is the one by Serapis Bey and Luxor. And I've been there. We were there in 2006 with 99 people on a pilgrimage to Egypt. And when we were at Luxor, they have the ancient temple remains of these giant pillars. It's absolutely stupendous. But you could feel the power of what goes on in the higher dimensions in this retreat, because it was a tangible feeling of the expressiveness of God, the creativity of the Divine One, the amazing power of what the ascension is, where it's like you're going to take off like a spacecraft to exit the Earth's gravitational pull. Well, that's what the ascension is. You have to be free of what? Your karma. So it's like you rocket up in vibration and frequency so that you can actually, in a sense, leave the planet, or at least the physical planet. It's like a balloon, a hot air balloon rising up. What do you have to do? Get rid of the ballast, right? So the hot air is the energy of transmutation, the heat of the path of light that you generate. And Saint Germain is teaching us about transmutation. What is that? Well, it's not like being in purgatory exactly from the Catholic's perspective, but it is the fire of transmutation that gets rid of karma. And we have the ability to invoke the violet light to transmute our past karma and planetary karma in a more dynamic way than ever before. Saint Germain talked to Godfrey Ray King, whose real name was Guy Ballard, in the 1920s on Mount Shasta. He took him all over the planet and his finer body, showed him past records of previous Golden Age civilizations. And now, through the internet, we have this ability and opportunity to learn about all these cultures, all these amazing things that have happened in the past. Well, now they're happening to us individually. You know, the History Channel on TV, so many revelations that, you know, pyramids all over the planet, ancient civilizations, even, you know, they talk a lot about the, ancient aliens. Well, I'd say instead of just replace the word alien with ascended beings, ascended masters, right? So we have all these ascended masters who are rooting for us. They're pulling for us. They're guiding us. They're directing us. They're inspiring us. And we just have to be ready. We have to be open. We have to be available. We do our daily meditation, our prayers, our times of silence. We get our inspiration, and we do our mission. It's really kind of that simple, you know, to boil it down to the nuances of it, or the important parts of it. So, next slide. So we had this beautiful video that we're not going to be able to show you, but it's called the Ascension Visualization Meditation. And it starts out with two people, a male and female, who are sitting across from each other meditating, and then they invoke the white fire of the ascension, and then gradually they start to lift off, you know, they start to go up into the atmosphere, and then you see couples of all these different nationalities and cultures doing the same thing, and you see all these people ascending. Well, this is a time of ascension for many thousands and thousands of souls on earth, because we're coming to the end of an age, and it's the summation of all of our lifetimes. And so if you feel that impelling dynamic from within you, that urge to go for it, this is the time to give your all, to lay it out on the table, to surrender, to just not let any fear enter your being. You have to be fearless to ascend. You have to be like Jesus. I mean, what did he do? He gave his life. He's surrendered in the Garden of Eden, went through that initiation. We won't be physically crucified, hopefully, in this life like he was, but there is the initiation of, you know, the transfiguration, where he's all light, and then the crucifixion, the resurrection, and the ascension. These are major initiations. We'll go through it, but in a little different way, where maybe you've been through hell and high water in this life. Maybe you were abused as a child or in your teenage years. What did that do? It woke you up to what you don't want, and what was evil, and what was devilish, so that how did you get out of that? You strove to discover who you truly are. Your soulful essence came out. You let go of your past, and you began to embody your true self and realize, okay, I am a spiritual being having this physical existence. Next slide. So Serapis Bey is the master of the retreat over Luxor, and there's a beautiful book called Masters in the Retreats, and it talks about him. And he's tall and fair of complexion. He is Greek by birth, though all of his work has been done in Egypt and in connection with the Egyptian Lodge, which is a branch of what's called the Great White Brotherhood, or the Universal White Brotherhood. White does not refer to race at all. It's people of all races who are initiates, but it's the white light of Christ. So this brother sisterhood has existed for thousands of years, and many of us are either members already because we've been working with the masters for many lifetimes, or maybe we're moving toward that initiation of being actually what's called a member of the universal or the great white, and I'll say brother sisterhood. Okay, next slide. So there's a lot more about him and the ray that he serves, and the 7 rainbow rays. He's on the white ray, which is about purity. It's about the ascension. It's about hope. So Archangel Gabriel is on the 4th ray, and his twin flame, which is called an Archeia, is hope. Interesting. So did you know that all the 7 archangels have complements? They're twin flames, just like we have a twin flame, the polarity of male-female. The archangels have twin flames. So Michael's twin flame is faith, Jophiel is Christine, Chamiel is charity, Gabriel is hope. Now here's an interesting one. Archangel Raphael, his twin flame is none other than Mother Mary. So she actually came from the archangelic realms, embodied on earth to bear the light of the Christ and Jesus, and then she ascended back. And she's in the Catholic tradition, she's called Queen of the Angels. So she really is. And then Archangel Uriel's twin flame is Aurora, beautiful name, like the Aurora Borealis. And then Archangel Zadkiel, who's a very powerful violet flame angel, his twin flame is named Amethyst, which is that same color. So it's interesting. In my book on angels, I go more into that. Next slide. So we have some pictures of when we went to Luxor, 99 of us. We'll just skip past these really quickly, but we'll just go one at a time very quickly. So we gathered at Luxor. Next slide. These are the temple remains that I was talking about. Next slide. And that at night. And we chanted there. It was very powerful. Next slide. And this was really amazing, that these giant obelisks that are all over Egypt. And from my understanding, the pyramids actually were power generators. And from the apex of the pyramids, they would actually send energy to these obelisks. Have you heard this before anywhere? So these obelisks are very important. And, they've erected some in like London. They've taken them from Egypt, put them in different places. There's actually one in New York City in a little park near Central Park. It's really interesting. It's this beautiful obelisk. Has anybody seen that one? Well, if you travel to New York City, you got to go there. It's pretty cool. Okay, next one. So this is talking about a man who did a study of the temple of man, and he found out that the temple of Luxor was actually in the shape of what he considered to be like man. So the temple was actually created as a formation that was similar in structure to the way we are made by God and God's image and likeness. So I won't go into all the details. Next slide. And let's skip this one. Okay, so in the Edgar Cayce's readings, many of you have heard that under the paw of the Sphinx, there's what's called a Hall of Records. Have you heard that? And in this Hall of Records, it has the history of the earth, going back tens of thousands of years. And one day it would be, he predicted in the reading that it would be rediscovered, and it would reveal to mankind all this ancient history that was really interesting. So I believe it's actually been found already, but they've suppressed it. Others feel like it's going to be revealed in maybe the year 2032 or something like that. This one Egyptian guy who is in charge of the museum there, I think is a very dark being, and he's keeping a lot of the truths of what's really in Egypt from the world. And I wouldn't even mention his name. I don't even want to mention his name, but I think if you've watched the History Channel, you know that there is so much truth coming out. Everything is going to be revealed. It will be revealed in time. We just have to be open to it. And when the masses of people realize, well, there's these ancient Golden Age civilizations of the past, and we're not the highest form of civilization right now, they realize, oh, there's much more to life than what we think we knew everything, right? Science is so advanced. No, we couldn't build the pyramids right now. There's no way. We don't have the technology. How did they build them? They levitated the stones. How did they carve them? Probably with a type of laser technology that could cut through rock. I mean, they had to have this. There's no way they could build them without that. They didn't have tens of thousands of slaves hauling these rocks up. They had high initiates. Serapis Bey, in that lifetime when he was in Egypt, he was the architect of the Great Pyramid. He was the architect. And another ascended master now, El Morya, was the master mason of the Great Pyramid. So you see these great ascended beings and other lifetimes were integrally involved in very high technological advanced structures and things like that. Okay, so next. So as I said, Serapis was the architect. Next slide. So what are these 33 landmark initiations of the Ascension? They're in the book. So I'm not going to tell you all of them. Some of them are as foundational as, of course, believing in God. But more than belief in God, it's loving God. It's uniting with God in your consciousness and actually feeling that you are God. You're a part of God and God's in you. So when you get to that point on the path where you're not a sinner anymore, you don't feel like you're a sinner, you feel that you are a son or daughter of God, and you have the light burning within your chakras and within your heart, just like in the Catholic tradition, they had Jesus and Mary and Joseph with these flaming hearts. Have you seen that? Many of you who are Catholic? Well, what was that? They had accelerated the love of God to the extent that they could actually feel the fire within them that was motivating them to do their mission, to be pure, to be holy gods, to serve God with their whole being. So when you meditate and pray, if you can contact that fire within you, it starts to grow, it starts to expand, and your whole being is enveloped in flaming fire. If you're clairvoyant, you can see that around me now, where, because I've been invoking the violet fire for 51 years, I found the teachings when I was 18, I live, move, and have my being in that eternal fire of God, because that's who I am. That it says in Scripture, our God is a consuming fire. Remember that in Hebrews? Hebrews, but she brews too, so our God is a consuming fire. Now experience that. Don't just read about it. So proclaim, I am a consuming fire. God in me is a consuming fire. What does it consume? The dross of our ego and our lower nature. And it makes permanent our divine identity, which is beautiful, holy. We're created in God's image and likeness. So there's a divine design to our true self that's mystical, magical, and miraculous. The 3 M's, mystical, magical, and miraculous, right? There's a different type of 3M from the tape. So we have to accept and believe that we have all these resources to tap into, to utilize, and to master. So we tap in, we try and utilize, we experiment, because we're all alchemists, and then we master who we are, our thoughts, our emotions, our feelings, and then our actions, our words. So God mastery, or total mastery of our thoughts, feelings, emotions, words, and deeds, that's our charge. When you master this, you are ascending, and you're accelerating consciousness. So what are some of these other initiations? I'll ask you, what do you feel is a major initiation for the ascension? Anybody? How about forgiveness? Forgiving everyone and yourself first. We have to love ourselves before we can truly love others. So, do unto others as you would like others to do unto you, following the golden rule. That's definitely a key for the ascension. Surrendering the human ego completely and letting go of it and seeing it being not just consumed, but let's say metamorphized into your true self. Because there is the divine ego. It's called the id. There's the ego and the id. Well, what does it stand for? Identity, or a divine identity. So we don't try to subjugate it and kill it. We transform the ego because it's still part of us. It's part of our, there's a lot of people that work with the shadow self. So if you try to conquer it by beating it into submission, it's not easy. You can't do that. It's much better to transform the ego by loving ourselves into the true state of our divine identity, which is amazing because each person is an aspect of God. Each of you is a facet of God. You're a unique dewdrop or a snowflake of the great snowflake, which is God, right? You're part of the cosmic ocean. You're a drop in that ocean. So you have all the qualities of God, maybe not the quantity that the universal aspect of God is the Holy Spirit is everywhere. But you have those unique virtues and essences that make you special. And so celebrate your speciality, right? Celebrate your beautiful identity. And then let it flow, let it manifest. So any other ideas? I'm speaking here, but just call out anything you think is important for the ascension. What do you think? Prayer? I'd say mastering prayer, but prayer is communication with the divine within you first, and then God everywhere. So to realize that God is both within and without and everywhere, that's a major realization. God is within everything. Everything really is alive. Even rocks have frequency, and so they have consciousness. It's a very lower vibration. So everything is alive. The people who've had near-death experiences, they tell us about heaven. Everything is more alive. Everything is more colorful. Things sing. It's like you can hear the singing of everything because it has a frequency and a vibe. And everything is vibrating and singing. That's why what the angels are called the 9 choirs of angels. Isn't that amazing? So what do? They praise God through singing. Well, many of us, believe it or not, are embodied angels. We came to earth to help others to awaken. So another part of the ascension process is we have to be awakened, then quickened, illumined, and then after the illumination is the enlightenment. And to me, the enlightenment means the same thing as when Jesus was on the mount and he was transfigured. In the transfiguration, you are all light. You are all light. There's no darkness in you. So at that point, you balanced your karma. You are all light. There's no shadow left. So that's true enlightenment means you're completely all light. Then after the enlightenment is ultimately the crucifixion, which is, let's just say, the death of the human. Then the resurrection, like Jesus, and then the ascension. So those are the last major initiations. I think if you focus on your enlightenment, which is the transfiguration, and you see yourself waking up every morning, because you're reawakened now every morning, right? It's a new opportunity to be reborn. Because really, at night, we're in our unconscious state. Hopefully our superconscious state too, but we're not conscious outwardly, using our mental mind. Our subconscious is active when we're sleeping, right? But we can go to the retreats, like I said earlier, and our superconscious being or mind is activated when we are working with the masters, the angels, and divine beings. So we start to work more consciously with our superconscious self, our I am presence, our God self, and call our divine self into manifestation through our every action, word, through our thoughts and feelings. And let the I am within you manifest in its reality, in its totality. That's really how to manifest your own Christ consciousness or your Buddhic awareness or the mother energy, your divine mother essence. Because every woman is an aspect of the divine mother. Did you know that? Every woman alive in your immortal state that you were created in the image and likeness of God is a essence or an aspect of the divine mother. So feel beautiful. Celebrate your inner beauty, your outer beauty. Celebrate being a mother. All of you who are mothers and have children. That's the most sacred vocation you can have, at least initially as a woman, to have children, bring them into the world. I don't say that every woman has to have children, but for those of you who are mothers, of all the work that you have done in this lifetime, having your children, raising them, loving them, nurturing them, that has been, and is still the most sacred work that you will ever do. Then all your other work, your creative work, is secondary. It's important, but your motherhood, as you know, what you went through, bearing children, raising them, you were there day after after hour with those children, helping them, raising them. That is sacred work. So celebrate being a mother and realize, give yourself a pat on the back. Okay, all you mothers. Okay. So it was hard, maybe, especially when they went through puberty and teenage years, but it was worth it, right? It was worth it. And now, if you're a grandparent, that's even more amazing because you don't have to be with them all the time. And sometimes the grandchildren listen to you more than your children did, right? It's funny how the spirituality jumps generations sometimes, and so our grandchildren sometimes they're the ones who are going to follow us more than maybe our own children. Okay, I'm going to open this up. We could go through a lot more slides, but I want to open it up, and if you have any questions.
So just to clarify,
Yes.
the steps or what
The
we
steps.
can do to clear those negative energies or dark spots from ourselves. So I'm assuming those initiations that you heard, right? So you don't really need to know much. In it, there is some kind of an energetic imprint that will call on certain entities that will help you clear, let's say, very specific pieces
Patterns.
that are stuck in you that will help you move
Yeah.
forward.
One of the things I didn't mention is the psychological work. You have to have a balanced psychology. So you do the inner psychological work where you clear and clean records, subconscious and conscious, things that you're aware of from this and other lifetimes. As you become aware of other lifetimes and you see a record of what you may have done that wasn't so great, you clear it. How do you clear it? With the violet light. And you ask for forgiveness for other people who hurt you and for you when you hurt other people. So the law of forgiveness is part of the violet light, and mercy is a part of this too. So you call on the law of forgiveness to transmute the cause-effect record and memory of any burden that you put on other life and what other people have put on you as negativity, bad thoughts, evil deeds. I think many of us just we're ignorant sometimes, and we don't think through things, and we do things that we later regret. So don't get so down on yourself that you condemn yourself and feel, oh, woe is me. I just can't seem to make progress. I keep making the same mistake. Pat yourself on the back for where you are, and just get up and go at it again, and try to improve. Yet using the violet fire, and now the accelerated, we call it the violet laser light, because a laser is focused like a beam, right? When you go to the cause and core of a problem that you know that you've had in another lifetime, or with somebody in this life, and you ask God to please erase it and transmute it, do you think God's going to listen? Of course. And so you humbly ask for the violet flame to come forth. I am a being of violet light. I am God's mercy shining bright. That's one I give a lot. I say it I say it under my breath. I'm walking around. I love everyone. I'm constantly telling people I love you, but I'm saying it to their true self. Or I'm saying, I am a being of violet light. I am God's mercy shining bright. You can change the word mercy to anything else. I am a being of violet love. I am God's compassion from above. You can make your own little mantras. And you can say them outwardly, as spoken prayers, or you can say them in an unspoken way when it's not possible for you to do it, in an oral, spoken way. And emanate light. So we're created in God's image and likeness. How did God create the universe? Light. Let there be light. Okay, so do you think we have the commission to create through light also? Yes. So use light to create or to uncreate. You know, Shiva, you've heard of Shiva, right? Okay, there's the creator, Brahma, the creator, Vishnu, Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, the creator, the sustainer, and the destroyer. Well, Shiva is the destroyer, but in my opinion, he's the transmuter, and he's the uncreator. So he uncreates unreality, and then it goes back to Brahma to recreate a new thing. So it's the creator, the sustainer, or preserver, they say. Preserver, sustainer, is Vishnu. And then Shiva is the destroyer. And in certain traditions, they make Shiva out to be, really evil looking, but he's not. He's pure love. So perfect love casts out fear. Perfect love uncreates unreality, and it transmutes. So we have to learn the art and the science of cosmic transmutation to accelerate getting rid of the things we want to get rid of, and then living in this higher state of beingness. So I was able to, over 50 years of transmuting, I got rid of a lot of stuff. and I started to remember past lives. And then as I studied those lives, I saw where I tripped up. Like in my last lifetime, I drank too much alcohol, I smoked, and I drank too much coffee. And I died early in my 40s. My last lifetime. It was stupid, you know. I was a pretty good guy, but I learned now, this lifetime, I can't smoke. I never smoked. I don't drink alcohol. I have a little bit of coffee, but I'm not addicted to it. So you try to rectify things and learn, overcome, and then master it. Okay? And then you go to a new level. Go ahead. What else?
So for the unconscious, is there something, obviously if you are not aware of it, you don't know, but...
Well, you can tap into the unconscious through the superconscious.
So is there a mantra or something that you can bring? Do you have to bring it to the conscious, or you can just say it, let's say, all right, let's cancel the last 2 years of my unconscious when I'm not conscious,
okay, so here's the key. There is psychology. And what does psychologists do a lot? They listen to you, rehashing over and over again the past. That is not the Aquarian way of resolving psychological hang-ups. Yes, you have to kind of get it off your chest, but you don't want to keep revolving it, because what happens? You relive it, kind of, when you're revolving it. The better way is to send the fire into it. So maybe you were traumatized as a child. Don't keep talking about it to this person and that person or a psychologist. Invoke the violet fire to go into the cause and core of why it happened, where the roots are, burn it up at the roots, get rid of it, and then never talk about it again, because then you won't recreate it. I've had so many soul-raising sessions with people, and they start going about this and that, and my parents were blah, blah, and Saint Germain listens very gently and sweetly, and then gives them the teaching. Okay, never talk about this again. Pour the violet fire into that. Transmute it. Feel the heat of the transmutation, burning it up, as if it now never existed or happened. And then move on, because you're a new person. You've uncreated unreality, and now create your new reality. But don't go back and talk about it again, because do you know people that just always tell you their troubles, and after a while you just want to get away from them, because all they do is say, oh, I feel terrible, or this person did that. Help them to move above and beyond the revolving of the past, because they're never going to make the full progress if they keep rehashing everything. So, yes, call upon your I Am Presence, the superconscious self, to send fire into the unconscious and the subconscious, to transmute the basement garbage and the the stuff that you don't even outwardly know about that happened in other lifetimes. There's a reason why we don't remember everything of all of our lives. Because if we saw all the evil we did or how we were killed, it would be too traumatic, right? So it's a mercy that we don't see everything. Gradually, as we awaken and become more enlightened, we become aware of some of these things when we have the tools to deal with them, which is the violet light, transmutation, the violet fire, Saint Germain's beautiful teaching on invoking the violet light. So there's so many different mantras, and I love to sing my prayers because Mother Mary told me when you sing, it actually multiplies the action because your heart's more engaged. Because when we sing, we use our lungs more, and we get, it's like it just flourishes through our heart and our lungs, which are working together, right? So the lungs purify the blood that the heart pumps to the lungs, goes back to the heart, then it goes back out to the body. So the lungs and the heart working together are amazing. So sing your mantras, chant, do sacred chanting, do crystal bowls and Tibetan bowls, and use sound therapy, and use the Om and the sound of the universe to accentuate everything that's pure and divine, because sound carries the vibrations and circles and divine ripple effects. So I learned the science of the spoken word through Elizabeth Clare Prophet and the Summit Lighthouse 50 years ago, and I've used it for 50 years. And I'm still learning, I'm still mastering some aspects of it. But I like to chant and give what's called decrees, which are powerful prayers that are spoken. So here's an example. Dear Michael Archangel, we call unto you. Protect us, defend us in circles of blue. Blaze, God, power, protection, direction, and might. The will to keep on in the victory of light. Transcendent blue lightning, now help us to fly. Take us with your host to retreats in the sky. So I can feel that in my aura. The blue energy of Archangel Michael that descended because of the power of the spoken word. Now you can do that with the violet fire, like I said earlier, I am a being of violet light. I am God's mercy shining bright. We have a prayer called I am forgiveness 70 times 7. So Jesus said to forgive 70 times 7. So I created a prayer. I am forgiveness everywhere, 70 times 7. I am forgiveness, tender care, acting as a leaven. I am forgiveness from above, blah, 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 blah. So make your own mantras. Make your own prayers. Make them dynamic. Make them victorious. Feel the energy of the victory of the living word, because the Christ, the Logos means word, with capital W, capital O-R-D. The living word, that's the Logos. The Logos overshined Jesus, spoke through him. And when he spoke, he could heal, he could instruct, he could enlighten. So we have to be more energetic about our path, right? So a lot of you are energy workers, right? You Reiki, healing of all different modalities. So I'm an energy worker, okay? Well, you feel the energy, you direct the energy, you enhance the energy through your consciousness, you transform it through energy, you transform things, you heal through that. God does the healing, but you're just the instrument, right? Or the divine world facilitates it. You're the facilitator. God is a doer. So the Holy Spirit does it. You're just the vehicle, right? We know that. If you say, I'm a healer, well, yes, I am. The I am of you is the healer. But remember, you're just the instrument. Like St. Francis said, Lord, make me an instrument of thy peace. So you can say, Lord, make me an instrument of thy healing. Lord, make me an instrument of thy love. Lord, make me an instrument of thy purity. So be creative. Just go for it and do things that are imaginative and awesome. Okay, we have 4 minutes. Okay, any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
I just want to go back to his point on the unconsciousness and the application in modern behavioral theories. I'm about 9 years into my
Doctorate?
to my transmutation, or there's so many different languages for it. So what I wanted to say to you was, it took me 9 years to piece it all together, and what I realized is that I needed to go back and address the narrative, the story, the rooted beliefs that I had in order to free them and forgive them. And so I had to do that through therapy, somatic therapy, psychiatric therapy, all of the therapies, right? And so now I apply that to the work that I do, because oftentimes people do the one without the other, and there's a balance that's necessary there.
Perfect. Yeah, I'm not saying don't see a psychiatrist or psychologist, but add the component of the violet fire for transmuting. And then, and give yourself some credit. Yeah, things have happened. I mean, I had my girlfriend from 8th grade call me up a couple months ago, and she was going through the terrible divorce. And I'm a minister, so I tried to comfort and counsel her. At a certain point, when she kept talking about her parents made her life hell when she was young, I had to gently usher her into okay, so that happened. Now what? You're a new person. You started your spiritual journey because you didn't want to do what your parents did. They never told you they loved you. Okay, well, you've told your children you love them, right? Yes, I have, because I didn't want to do what my parents did. Okay, you're better for it. So, keep accentuating the positive and transform the negative through a shift. Little shifts, greater little shifts here and there. So I guess we're going to have to kind of wrap it up here. I'd like to just do a final little blessing. This is from both Serapis, Saint Germain, Mother Mary, El Moria, and Jesus. And they're sending a wave. And for each one of you, it's a different frequency that will help you exactly where you are on the path and what's next for and within your life to be victorious, to be happy, to have the people in your life that you deserve and that love you, to have the resources that you require, because many of you are accelerating so fast in your spiritual work that you're going to be tapping into new resources that you maybe a year ago or 5 years ago you couldn't even imagine. These resources are going to come from within you, and from the help and the sponsorship of different ascended masters and angels and divine beings. So I call for each and every one of you a super blessing. We'll call it a super blessing of love, light, and joy to help you to be just victoriously happy in everything you do, think, feel, and say. God bless you all. Thank you for coming. And come to our booth if you'd like, 503. I provide soul-raising sessions. We have 16 books. We have all these 12 little free booklets. You can take as many as you want, maybe within reason, like 2 or 3, 5 copies each, and share them with people. And our website is heartcenter.org. I was recently interviewed by Alex Ferrari, if you've heard of him. He's got over 1 million subscribers, and that interview has been viewed 177,000 times. No, 180,000 times as of this morning. So we have a Patreon channel called Spirit Matters, and it's once a month, but it's going to be starting to be twice a month in October. And I'm going to be interviewing people and also just speaking. So check out heartcenter.org. There's free literature at our booth downstairs. So thank you so much, everybody. God bless you.